Well, welcome everybody to the Premier Living podcast. I'm your host, Will Marsh, Director of Clinical Education and Quantum Systems here at Premier Research Labs. And I have two esteemed guests, one a very familiar face, Nick Labinsky, our CEO, and another, our clinical advisor, Dr. Kelly Halderman. She's actually not on stage with us. She's joining us virtually. But Dr. Kelly, welcome to the Premier Living podcast. I know you've done some additional content with us, but Nick's well known, but would you like to do a quick introduction of yourself, Dr. Kelly?
Sure. Thanks, Will. So yes, I am a clinical advisor for Premier Research Labs. I joined in January, and I've had a long-standing relationship with PRL. I've been using the products personally, professionally since around 2012, maybe a little bit earlier than that. So I've always been a very big fan of the nutrition, of the quality. And so I'm just really happy to be a part of the team. And I'm so excited to discuss what we're going to discuss today.
Yeah. So today's topic of conversation is actually our first ever board certified accreditation, basically our first certification ever as our organization, where we're going to go into depth how you as a health professional can actually be certified as a board certified premier nutrition specialist with Premier Research Labs. And what I wanted to do before we get into the certification itself is really talk about the origin of why we wanted to do this. And this is something both very near and dear, I know to you, Kelly, but Nick and myself, because there's a whole story as to how we got here and why we wanted to bring this certification to life.
Yeah. Well, I want to say first that, this was a project that began with a thought of looking back at our history here at PRL, when Dr. Marshall was actually still alive. And he was the trainer, per se, of many practitioners and our internal staff. And when he passed away, unfortunately, in 2017, we lost that. And I wanted to create something that not only gave one of the most robust training programs that there possibly can be, but that could emulate what he could do. We never could be as good as what he was able to do, and the insights and the innovation that he had in his practice and his training. But we want to get as close as possible because we wanted to have a robust training program for all practitioners. So when they call in, our staff has, was able to talk at the same level as the practitioner and to help them, with their recommendations and to help support the patient so they have better outcomes. So Dr. Halderman, as our clinical advisor, and I talked about this, and I, pretty much challenged her to make something that we needed. And by chance, she's, a clinical nutritionist, and so was Dr. Marshall. So I saw that synergy, and I wanted to, and she's been using our products a long time, and I wanted to be able to, have her create that with the team internally and myself included to look over this. And what has been created, I think, is the beginning of so much more, because this is just the foundational items. There's knowledge and wisdom, and this is the foundational knowledge that's needed for you to make that correct recommendation to your patient to get the right patient outcomes, right? This is all about transforming wellness around the world. And it starts with that foundational knowledge of how to use our products. We have very unique formulas, and all the time they're saying, why is that there? Now, we're going to be able to show you that with clinically backed research on each product and that recommendation. This ties into also a lot more we're doing in terms of I'm going to tease it, the longevity panel as well. But we'll talk about that at a different episode. But this is really the origins was for internal use. And now we're going to, share that with the world. Why not be as trained as well as our internal staff? So you can have, just better outcomes, transforming people's wellness, letting people experience a level of health they've never experienced before.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's really exciting to me because when I first started here it took me probably around 2 years to get really familiar with the line. And then once I got really, really in depth with all the different formulations and how you can really target different areas of the body, practitioners were always asking me, how can I know the knowledge that you know, and how can I approach, my patient's problems, the same kind of philosophy that you are presenting to me whenever I call in. And here we are 8 years later from that kind of manifestation. And now we have an accreditation program where, you essentially can get a board certified, premier nutrition specialist behind your name and showcase how you have that same philosophy that Dr. Marshall and Dr. Linda Forbes developed over 30 years in your, that is now a part of your toolkit and part of how you frame and answer problems that your patients are presenting in practice. So, Dr. Kelly, if you'd like to maybe share for the audience, your reflections and your journey in building that, I think that'd be great for them to kind of frame all the work and everything that went into this program, because it truly is so exciting that we have this now for everybody.
So functional and integrative practitioners know, and Dr. Marshall knew, that human health doesn't exist in silos. So a sluggish liver can impact hormone metabolism, chronic inflammation can hinder detoxification, and fatigue, it might not just be adrenal. It could stem from mitochondrial dysfunction, poor oxygen delivery, or even hidden gut imbalances. And that's why we're delivering the systems-based education, because it's no longer optional. It's absolutely essential.
So true. And maybe for the viewer, because obviously we'll be directing anybody that's listening that would like to get certified to kind of our entire ecosystem at edu.prlabs.com, I believe. We'll have the correct URL and the link for this episode. But could you maybe talk about the different modules and what they will be learning to kind of get that QRA or that PRL philosophy, which goes into QRA, but just the PRL overall product philosophy?
Right. And I think that it's important to note that education is a cornerstone of exceptional clinical outcomes. And that's why I align so well with Premier Research Labs. And so we have that growing demand for that high quality, again, that systems-based education. And so we really started with the foundations of human health and biochemistry. So that's where we really unpack at a cellular level. And I know Dr. Marshall was really adamant about, again, health starts at, again, our cellular level. Cells build our organs and our organ systems. And so we go through in depth the cell structure and function in the modules. And then we move on to a 3-part series on nutritional biochemistry. So again, biochemistry is the language of life, and nutrients are the critical players. So I really wanted to give due diligence to going through a lot of the ins and outs. So we go through the macronutrients, micronutrients, biochemistry. We go through key metabolic pathways, including glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, methylation. We look at how specific nutritional compounds influence enzymatic reaction, gene expression, and detoxification. So we really want to give that due diligence again to the foundations, and really set up the practitioner for, again, diving into them, what we call the synergistic health networks. And that's where we look at that systems-based approach, which it's not something that is brand new, of course, but when you teach in isolation, I have found throughout my vast education is that we're really missing the mark in bringing in, just like how I started, that our systems are connected together, and some organ systems such as the brain, gut, immune system, that's part of our vernacular at this point. I don't think there's a person who's actively engaged in their health who doesn't at some level understand gut-brain connection. So we're taking those in the module 2 in the Premier networks, and we are really teasing those out into those connections where we can really then apply the proper nutritional support and not just see everything as in pieces. I did that. I've been there. I've done that in the allopathic space where we're separating people out and they're going to their cardiologist and their endocrinologist, and that doesn't work really that well. And so again, we're going to bring that through the modules where we're covering the 6 synergistic health networks, and looking in a deeper dive in each of those networks. And we can go through those, but I'll just finish up with the module 3. And module 3 is where we bring in the connections of the 6 networks and how they connect together. So again, there's detoxification, purification network, and how does that connect to the reproductive and sex hormone network? And we show that, again, the body is not in isolation. They're working together. And I really think it gives a very clear roadmap, a way to interpret labs, a way to look at for the signs and symptoms. And again, know that I think people get kind of lost in, adrenal fatigue, it must be the fatigue must be coming from this, when again, it could be coming from an oxygen delivery problem. The person could have apnea. So we go in depth. We go into the labs associated with each network, the signs and symptoms. We go into explaining the labs and what they're meaning. So we really do a very deep dive, very comprehensive, and bringing that education that I've always wanted to take myself. And so that was what I had in mind when Nick put the challenge in my lab. I really wanted to put something together and use all the great minds in PRL. And thankfully, Dr. Marshall left some amazing resources that I built into the course as well. And so all hands on deck. And we really put together a very comprehensive program that can be utilized for an entire practice.
It's so exciting. And Kelly, I think just from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for all the hard work in helping to develop and helping to organize our thoughts. And it's something, that systems approach is really built into our DNA here at Premier. And probably if you've listened to other podcasts or the content pieces, you always notice while we may focus on one topic, we always kind of paint the full picture of health and talk about the entire networks that are connected. I know, Nick, you and I just recorded something on microbiome health, and we were talking about the brain, we were talking about inflammation, immune, we were talking detoxification, all these different systems working together. And so, maybe Kelly, to help, people listening in, the value of that. I mean, you talked about it, this was something that was missing from your education. But, who would see value from this certification? Who would be the primary audience that really would want to get this certification? Because I'm already signed up. I know Nick is as well. You as well, Dr. Kelly. But if they're listening in and they're kind of like evaluating it, why should they, right?
Right. I think this program, again, was designed in mind for a vast array of practitioners, right? We don't have to think in terms of, well, this should be for the naturopathic and this should be for, QRA. We really should look at it as an all-encompassing program that can help the way you're thinking, that help the way you're evaluating whatever tool that you're using. It's going to help, again, connect some of those questions that we have as practitioners, no matter what form of medicine or healing that we're using. It's that our bodies, they do operate the same, right? So we have, our gut-brain connection, everybody's is operating the same. And so how we approach it, again, you can take this course, whether you're a chiropractor, you're a QRA practitioner, you are a health coach, you are a health enthusiast who wants to know more about how your body works. You're going to get a lot of bang for your buck here, because I take you really deep on a lot of things that I couldn't find out there. I really wanted to put it together to be comprehensive. So I really think that the net was cast pretty wide, but yet we're looking at, again, a tool that can be used immediately. When you are done taking this course, you will be upgraded. You will really have all the tools that you need in order to successfully understand those connections. You're going to have aha moments after aha moments on this where, I really can't wait for the feedback, because again, I think I see this program as being designed, again, not as another protocol. I just get so tired of the Instagram and all the people, the influencers, here's our new, this is our new protocol. And it's really taking that and being able to put your patient, your client in front of you, no matter what kind of practitioner you are, and having a lot of success that you haven't had in the past, just knowing, again, these connections and having that knowledge.
So true. I'm smiling over here because this course is really, it's a catalyst for epiphanies. And, that's something that as I was learning the line and, learning our philosophy that Dr. Marshall and Dr. Forbes curated over 30 years, I mean, it was enlightening, right? And I think this is something important just to stress, is that most certifications and most coursework, it's very modular. We're looking at this system in isolation, whereas going through this entire certification, you start to understand how you can really support harmony in the body, and know how you can really operate with a greater level of clinical intuition to really make sure all systems are balanced and working together, which truthfully, that's one of the most invaluable, if nothing just for your own health and to take charge of your own health, just invaluable in itself.
And Will,
exactly. It's okay.
Well, I'll real quick, Will, I just wanted, because there's a whole section, and I know there's a lot of QA practitioners probably listening right now, wondering how, we're saying that they could use it, but you had a hand in the alignments with QA and Dr. Forbes. So help our QA practitioners understand how this aligns with QA itself.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about quantum reflex analysis, we really are talking about how each individual cell is signaling to create a cohesive picture of health in the body, right? And, when we have an energetic signature or a kinesiologic lock, and normally it's a manifestation of how the body is responding. But, to a QA practitioner, they might not be able to translate that into the functional knowledge of what's actually going on in the client's body. And so the nice thing with this certification is it starts to lay the groundwork to kind of understand, okay, if that QA test is off, what systematically is potentially off that you may be looking to support, especially with what product comes in the field. But the cool thing in how this certification was built out is, as Kelly framed, is that we start with the biology of cells, and cells being the foundational unit of life, right? And you really have to look at, when you're looking at a supplement approach to really support ideal outcomes with patients, to really look at nourishing each individual cell to their ideal self. And then you start to zoom out from there, right? You start to build in systems and layering of systems. But, when we're looking at QRA, it's how are we optimizing each cell for its best output? And so that's why it was so fun to work with Kelly and say, I know there was a brief aha moment and when we were trying to build out this coursework, and I was like, no, why not just start at the cell? And you're like, oh, that makes so much more sense, right? And it simplified the entire I feel like you had a moment when we were talking about that.
I sure did.
And of course, this is how the certification coursework came to be.
That's great.
Right. And it isn't surface level. I will just say it's not surface level. So each module builds sequentially, and we've layered everything in from mitochondrial health to energetics of detox and hormone communication. So it's systems thinking meets clinical reality. That's kind of how I like to think of it.
I love that. Yeah, it's so true. And, this is accredited by the American Association of Natural Wellness Practitioners. And maybe Kelly, you can help us and the audience understand the value of that accreditation in regards to when they do complete this coursework and the certification that they'll have.
Yeah, so that is something we are definitely so proud to be able to become accredited as an educational institution with the AANWP. So again, that's American Association of Natural Wellness Practitioners. And it was rigorous. I was sweating some days. I have to report back to Nick because really we wanted to, again, align with an institution that would have the standards that we do. We wanted the quality. And lo and behold, the universe delivered and we were able to be accepted. And that was the big hurdle, is to be able to be accepted. And AANWP is a national organization that provides board certification for natural wellness professionals. And so anything that now we're creating in our educational wing of what we're doing, it's going to be then recognized as that accredited body that is educating you. And so if you're taking this foundational course, so then that puts you in the seat to become, again, board certified. And that would be board certified as the nutrition specialist by the AANWP. So it's really something we're so part of. It adds that powerful credential for those in the field looking to elevate their legitimacy, their clinical authority. It's not just symbolic. It's really tied to rigorous, well-designed education that we are so proud of.
It's just so exciting to say the name board certified premier nutrition specialist. That's something that just lights me up inside. But there's more. We were talking earlier about the vision of these certifications and this coursework. Nick, maybe would you like to lead us into that thought and what we're looking to engage on?
Like I mentioned earlier, this is just the beginning. we're moving into a new era of really taking PRL, what really brought us to greatness, and now we're going to be taking from good to great, right? And this is one item. We talked about the longevity panel, which we'll talk about, very soon in another podcast. But we're going to be looking at women's health. We'll be looking at different items to have CEU courses, having a lot more events. We're living our values. So the values of transformation. How do we transform global wellness? We have to have extraordinary ingredients, extraordinary innovation, extraordinary education. And that is what we're doing. And through this, we're going to build a community just like Dr. Marshall did many years ago, but we're going to go global. And this is something that I know he wanted to do. Once again, we lost a great man too early, and I made him a promise, and I'm going to keep that promise. And we're going to take this to the next level. So I'm beyond excited. We have the best minds of the industry here. Dr. Halderman, Will, Amanda, Vic. There's so many people on our staff that we are very blessed. And I count my lucky stars every single day that we are on this journey to fulfill what he began. And we're just getting started. That's what I got to say.
Sure. I mean, thoughts become things, and this is a way to reframe how your thoughts are maybe coming up around premier product recommendations or just lifestyle recommendations for your patients. So it's a really powerful tool and an asset. I think anybody listening, I would definitely encourage to explore and see how, if you are willing and able to get certified. So, Dr. Kelly, is there anything that you would like in closing, just like to highlight or reiterate for our audience around the certification and the value of the certification for those listening in?
Yeah, I just some practical notes is that it's self-paced. And so you can go as fast or as slow as you need to go. We're here to answer any questions that you have. There are exams that are built into the modules as well. So you'll be able to test your education and see if you are aligning and learning what we put in there. So I think that's always nice when there are exams to keep us accountable and keep us engaged. But I know the content itself, it still excites me that that it's out there and that people are going to be learning this way. I think it's not about just gaining a credential. It's about stepping into a new level of practice. And I think it's for all of us who want to evolve from the practitioner to the clinical strategist. I think that is really for the masses. And again, to just upgrade your knowledge and be able to help people at this level, it's really extraordinary.
It's so true. I mean, I love the word clinical strategist because you have to know which levers to pull at the right time, right? And there has to be a strategy as to why you do it, or there's potential other dominoes that fall as a consequence. Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Kelly, thank you so much for your efforts here. And I know we are all here very excited for the release of this course. So if you are listening in, please check it out. We'll have the link in the show notes so that you can look to register and get certified. And then Nick, any closing thoughts or comments for our audience?
I hope everybody takes advantage of this, no matter where you are in your journey in health yourself or with your patients. This will just fortify and probably amplify what you're trying to accomplish, which is to change people's lives for the better, right? We're trying to heal the world and transform the world. And this is one way that we feel is the foundational items, and we're going to build upon this. We just put the slab down, guys, and watch out. We're going to build a mansion on top of this.
So true. Well, thank you all for joining our Premier Living podcast today. Once again, I hope you all check out the new Board Certified Premier Nutrition Specialist course that is now available. And we'll look forward to featuring more content, potentially in the course and additional certifications on future episodes. So please follow along, like us, share with your friends, get them engaged, especially if they've never looked at Premier Research Labs before, or they don't even know where to start with Premier Research Labs. This course is a great way just to be off to the races and really get accelerated knowledge so that you can have practical real world results with your clients. So we're so excited and we're so honored to steward y'all's growth as practitioners, because we are all in this together and we are all looking to transform the world. So thank you again and have a great rest of your day.